So myself, Nasin Jyoti. So I have around 13 years of experience working in this mainframe environment and working on different domains and working on different tools. Okay. So I worked on banking systems. I worked on credit card systems. I worked on insurance domains. I worked on telecom domains. I worked on healthcare domains. So quite a lot of domains where extensively this mainframe application is being used. And I would say, like, it is standing tall and giving a very strong support to the front-end environments. That's what I can say more about this mainframe system, right? Yeah, I mean, like, what I know from my experience is, like, it's been in from 1960, I guess, like, it started in US, then it's keep on ruling the world, and now we are in 2020s and 21, right? So it's been 61 years. It's keep on ruling the world. So quite a lot of experience this technology is having, and many people who worked on these technologies, they worked and they retired and they died also, but still this technology is existing. So this is about the mainframe system, and I still believe, like, 90% of the world biggest applications are still happening on the mainframe system. uh, Pretty much information on the mainframe system. Yeah. Okay, so let us go from the basics. Like, I will keep this session more of interactive. Why? Because I want to hear from you guys. If it's only me talking and not you people listening, it's like, I need some information from all of you guys who are attending the session. So, okay, first of all, like, how the suppose I want to develop one application. So what I need to do? How this application gets developed? So questions from your end. Hello. Hello.
So kindly you also respond. Okay, he's expecting some responses so that we can say the next session is more interactive.
So it depends upon client requirement to you do the application.
Depends upon the client requirement. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Then what we do is, client requirements came in, then what happens after the client
First we
requirements?
analyze the requirement. Depends upon that we do code. We analyze the document. We prepare a understanding document.
We have to prepare the architect of the application.
Exactly. Yes, and many more.
So there is a
So
life cycle is there. So development, the requirement from the client, and after development, it will go for production, and production to support production. We have some tools kind of thing. So based on this,
no, we are far behind. Sorry
We
to
have
interrupt
to
you. We are
we
far
have
behind.
to define the
Don't
full.
go to,
We have to
yeah. Don't go to that.
we have to develop
Don't
full.
go to that. Yeah.
We have to
I would say,
develop
like,
full life cycle of the application.
Yes, I would say, like, we have gathered the requirements from the client. Then gathering the requirements, we need to design it, right? So design, like, very senior people and very experienced people and architects, like, they will design the flow. Okay, once the design, they will do that high level design. Once this high level design is done, then, after getting the due approval from the clients, business partners, everyone and all, then we will be developing the low level design. Once this low level design completes, then we will be bringing the technical details. Okay, technical designs, we'll call it as a technical designs, functional design as well as technical design. Okay, functional design is only gives the business requirements. Okay, what needs to be added to that application. Then we will go for the technical design. Okay, this technical design, if we talk about the mainframe system, then the technical, what comes into these technical designs? Again, questions for you all.
Hello, my question is, like you said that there are 60 years of mainframe build applications running, right?
Yeah.
New applications that have been developed, like new systems being developed in all the domains that you talked about, or it's still the already set up system that is running and being maintained?
They have developed. Yes, they have developed. Okay, they made the system. The paperwork has been into the system now. The system has grown. Okay, and the system is running. This is how it happened so far. Earlier, it used to be on the paper, signed it, get it approved, make it done. But those paperwork and all been transformed into the system. That system is currently mainframe system. Okay, why I'm using currently is mainframe system is because it's there, it's running, it's happening. Okay, and the system has been grown big into big. It's a very big system. Trillions of transactions happen in a day. Trillions, not even billions, trillions. So that's why I do say it's a vast, very vast system. We can't even imagine how much data it is holding and it is having. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Where we are
But
looking at, I said
So yeah,
any Indian, like for example, we have so many companies in India as well. So they are also using mainframe because in my 4 years of career, I haven't heard about like say Indian companies such as a Geo or an HDFC is using a mainframe, and they need engineers such as or application developers as us to support our Indian banking system or something like that.
yeah. That's what you see in the front end system is only the colorful screens which you are developed from the Java and PHP. Okay, but for sure it has been connected to the backend system. Very basically example I can say is like what you do going into the main ATM.
Yes, yes. So all the ATMs are yes, all the ATMs are supported on this system, right? But then why do we only get the clients that are working on why do we only get the clients like suppose say I'm working currently in Infosys, so why do we only have the international clients like the clients from the western side? Why don't we have Indian companies who want mainframe engineers, something like that?
We have Indian clients. Air India is using HDFC credit card businesses on mainframe. There are a couple of Indian clients too.
Yes. See, not everyone holds this mainframe. This is a very cost-effective system. Okay. Suppose I would say SBI cards. SBI's card system is completely run by the GE. I have friends working on the GE system who runs the SBI cards in India. Likewise, we don't know if only the inside people who works on that system, then only we will be knowing who is running their card. Suppose HDFC is giving, Citibank is giving, some other banks are giving, but definitely their application, this application, cards application will be run by the other company who is having this mainframe system, or they themselves will take this mainframe system and they're having an IT team. Okay. So these are very
yes,
basic questions. Unless are
GE Guards,
yeah.
actually the GE Guards is run by First Data, which is acquired by Pfizer. Yes, when you worked there was some separate cycle and separate region configured for this GE company alone for GE Cards. So in a sense, it is being managed by one another company. Is Pfizer now.
Okay, properly what I understood is like, GE you're talking about, and in between you said First Data International, right?
Yes.
Yeah, First Data, actually there is a card application. Okay, this application is being developed by the FDI, First Data International. Okay, they will be giving this code to the different companies. So companies like GE and all. Okay, so whatever the First Data gives.
No, they won't give. They will configure the system to accommodate the data and everything. Whatever code will be there with First Data. They will just license the entire application for the client to use it. So he will be interfacing his card transaction to First Data. They will do whatever that is needed and then send it to the final data to suspective systems.
Agreed. Suppose like the way we process in India is completely different the way we process in US. That's the reason First Data will give how it needs to be processed in US. So that kind of application it will give to the US people, and how we process in India, that kind of application it will give to the Indian people. But those people are the patent holders. Okay, so they have that card processing application, and based on the country, suppose if you take the Middle East countries, they middle best countries, I would say Middle East, they will say Middle East, but for us it is a middle west countries. Okay, so all Arab nations and all. Okay, for them actually, like whenever you do the card processing, interest needs need not to be calculated in their system. So they have removed that interest component. Why? Because Arab countries and all, Muslim countries and all, I am not sure whether like if some people are in this group or not, they won't add interest. Interest is a sin for them. So they remove that interest calculation part and they run the system. That's what it's a customized product. So how the country process the same way, like they will give it and they will process.
All on
Okay,
IBM.
yeah, it's more of architecture. Like we don't want to talk about it. Ours is a simple, basic understanding process how the production process runs in. Okay, so we will talk about that one. Right, then we got the requirements from the client, we made the designs are done, then we are into the technical part. So technical part, so based on the requirements, what you will do, very first thing, how the mainframe system develops. So now we are in the technical part. So what you will do in the technical part? Questions again, please answer me. I want it
So in
I want
technical
it more
part,
interact.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in technical
Okay.
part, we will uh, code the modules and we will code the JCLs that are required for the applications.
We look for initially look for system feasibility. The design, how it accommodates into this particular system and all. We look for that system analysis we do.
And
what are the affecting modules we look for? Accordingly, we plan and we go forward. Hello.
Okay, very basically, like we will talk very basically. We don't want to go that high level, so that there are some beginners in the group. It will be very difficult for them to understand. Okay, so we will code. So what is the language we use in this mainframe system for coding?
COBOL.
COBOL, assembler, JCL.
Okay, so assembler and all, like there are very old model. We don't want it to use it, so we take it as a COBOL. Okay, then we coded the COBOL. Fine. So after coding the COBOL, what you will do?
We will compile the code.
We will test and execute. Compile.
We'll stop here only. Compile. So earlier sessions you people have attended, like compile. Okay, what the compiler will do? So how you will compile?
We will create
IBM utility to generate code module.
Utility, we have utilities. Okay, we have IBM provided utilities. Well, using utilities we can do. Apart from utilities, what are the tools we have? Earlier you people have attended the tool sessions, right? So what are the tools we have?
Endeavor or Changeman or any organization built to.
Changeman, very good question. A very good answer. That is Changeman. Changeman is a CA tool. Okay. Apart from Changeman, what are the other tools we have?
Endeavor.
Okay. That is another version of the tool from Changeman. Okay. That's fine. Apart from this,
RDG.
okay. Some companies will build their own tool. Okay. What is like yeah, compiler will be same. Okay, there will be a compiler. Okay, for that they will write. Sorry.
IDZ.
National Development Tool for JavaS.
That's what I'm telling. Some companies will develop their own internal tool instead of relying on the others products. Okay. Okay. So let's like let's go about this Changeman and Endeavor. Why? Because these are the widely used tools for compiling and maintaining the versions. Okay. So what differences you have seen from the Changeman and Endeavor? If people are working or if people are not working, you just hear. Why exactly we require this Changeman and Endeavor?
These are the version control tools.
Can you please elaborate? Yeah, version in the sense like what this version is about. Can you please elaborate so that like it will be very helpful for everyone. What exactly these tools will do? Why we need to maintain these versions like that?
Yeah. Version means suppose I am building one code right now, okay, and if some other requirement came after down the line 10 years, okay, so in that case, how that person will know what changes has been made 10 years back, right? So for that, we should have one system in place that should tell that what changes has been made when. Okay, so it is very useful. If I'll see in the current scenario as well, suppose I am I'm making some changes to one program. Okay, and that program has been changed by someone else, and that is in another environment, testing environment. So if we'll not maintain the version of the versions of the program, so that will lead to the integrity problem of that code also.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect answer. Okay. Is everyone clear the way she answered, or you people
In
are
short,
still having any doubt?
we need this for keeping in control the version and to integrate the whole system.
Okay. Exactly. Exactly. Now we'll come to that FDI. Someone from the group said, like, FDI is giving some code. Okay, they are the patent holders of giving this code and all. Okay, so now we talk about these versions wherein the FDI developed the complete processing system. Now it has to give the different version. Suppose for India it will give one version, and for America it will give some other version. For Australia it will give some other version. For Middle East country it will give some other versions. Likewise, it will be having different versions. The same way, when we compile, okay. First of all, the compilation is done to check if there are any errors. Okay, if the code is error free, then it will convert our. If we say COBOL is nothing but common business oriented language. More of it's an English like language, and it's user friendly language and high level language. They will say, I don't know what exactly the definition is high level, but more of people will say it's a user level language. Why? Because it is like a reading a English article or English statement or a statement or a word or whatever it is. Okay, but if it is completely technical, logical free, yeah.
That high level language definition is very simple. See, in the earlier days of computing, what they did, they used to feed those codes, machine codes, where most of you who would have studied microprocessor would know, you would be physically keying those hexadecimal numbers, right, into the machine. So that is what they call it as programming the earlier days. Then later programming got evolved, because for every machine you have a different set of instructions. So they came up with one common practice that you need to have the capability to write in one specific language, but the code has to run everywhere. So that's where this high level language came. So low level means for that particular machine you are going to key in on the known instruction for that machine. For example, if you're using 4 ISON processor, there is a separate hexadecimal code for that, or some even a specific assembler for that itself. But we cannot use that. If you use a AMD processor, it will not work. So we have this new languages called Java, Python, COBOL, where if you write it and then compile it, it will give you what is known as listing or the machine instructions specific to whatever machine you are going to run. So this made programmers write any code for any machine. That is why they call it as high level language. Hope that answered your question.
Yes, exactly. The perfect answer. Why? Because earlier, it used to be in zeros and ones. The instructions used to be in zeros and ones. Okay. So zeros and ones, like, the person who completely understand that assembler level details and all, then he only used to understand. But once that zeros and ones are converted into a statement, then it became a language. That language they treated as an high level. Okay. Level from zero ones to the statement. So that's the reason they call it as high level language. Hope my answer suffices you what you have said. Okay, it's more of like interaction language where a person can easily understand what he has written over there. Okay, that is fine. We have compiled it. We have seen there are no logicals and there are no technical errors, and logic is completely different. Apart from it will come after this these technical errors are done. So once these technical errors are done, we will compile it, and what the compiler will do, the compiler will convert the language into the machine level again. Okay, right, wherein the system has to understand. We will understand the English, whereas the system should understand the version of it. Like, right, ASCII and EBIE format. You know these formats?
UTF-8, ASCII. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a system understanding language. Okay. Again, it's into ones and zeros and ones, right? Okay. That is the basic importance of the compiler, which it needs to compile by checking the technical errors. and it will compile machine level language completely. So once this compiler is done, what we will do? Our code is ready. We have compiled it. Then what is the next step? What we will do?
Pass it into the endeavor.
Sorry.
Pass it into the endeavor for.
We will do the unit testing to check whether the results are coming perfect or not.
Okay, how you will do this unit testing?
With the input and the expected output.
Yeah, what do you require for that?
Database.
No, basically, we need JCL, right? Run that program.
We are in the mainframe environment. So completely think what happens in the mainframe. So once you have coded your program. Your program is done perfect. Now what you want to do with this program?
You have
You
to
have to
run
check for the test JCL.
check for the syntax.
The
Copy the
data we want.
production.
The data we
Copy the
want in
production
input
data to
files
test
or
it.
in the database.
I will tell in a more simplified way. I want to run this program. Are you agree with me? I want to run this program. Are you agree with my statement?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Prepare a test JCL. Yeah.
Yes. For running this program, what I require?
The load module of the program.
The JCL.
Okay. From where you will. Yes. A JCL is required. Okay. In this JCL, what
JCL and test data.
JCL and
The required copybook.
Test data.
required
data.
part of the data. Okay. Suppose I want to execute a program. I require a JCL. Okay. Hope everyone knows about the JCL. What this JCL contains. Again, this is a language. In mainframe environment, we call it as a language. Job control language. Well, JCL is very much important. Yeah. Without
Job
JCL, we can't
statements.
do it. Yes. Without JCL, we can't do anything in the mainframe, right? So for everything, we require a JCL to run. To run a DB, we require a JCL. To run a mainframe system, we require a JCL. To run a particular application, we require a JCL. So JCL is important. Okay, what we will give in the JCL? Now you have coded a program.
Yeah, we need the load module of the program first thing to run any program.
Yes. Where you will get this load module?
After compiling the program through any version control tool, we get the load module if it is compiled successfully.
Perfect. This is
Load
what
lib.
I am expecting from. Yeah, perfect. Why? Because everyone should understand why we are compiling. So after compiling, where we will use it, how we will execute it. So this is the reason why I am going from the basic level and step by step. Very much perfect. Okay, then we have the load module, we have the JCL, we have load module, we have program, and what our program should do. It has what it should do. Suppose a very basic program you have written, so it has to read the data and it has to write the data. Okay, from where you want to read the data. How you want
Either
to read
from
the
the
data?
file, either from the file or from the database.
And also from the
Either from the database or a file.
User inputs also.
User
Sysyn.
input from
Sysyn.
We can pass data three ways, like sysyn, palm, and file.
Or we can route from clicks screen also.
Exactly.
Data
That is called user interface. That I would say like user interface. Okay. And someone said database and someone said from file. Okay. How this file will be creating? Okay. Database is I would say like that is fine. Already we will be having database wherein we need to read it. Okay. That is fine. And Kix also is a user interface wherein a user enters the data. Okay. From there it collects somewhere from that we will access and we will read it. That is fine. And someone said file. Okay, file. How we will be getting this file? Either we creating it.
We can create through IBM utility.
According to the copybook structure, you have to create the file.
IBM utility. Why do we really require IBM utility? For
In JCL.
3.2.
Okay, there are various ways. Wherein we need to read the data. Okay, we have read the data, and after reading, what we will do? We have written in a program in such a way, right? Like it has to read the data from the database, or it has to read the data from the Kix system, or it has to read the data from the upstream system wherein the data has been flown into the file. Okay, after reading, what we will do? We will write it to the output. Okay,
what we will do next? What is the process?
First, we'll read the file, and then if it is successful, then we'll write to the output file.
We will process the data, and based on our requirement, we will write into output file.
Okay, the requirement is nothing but the logic which we have implemented in the program. So it is going through that logic, and it is going through the checks, and it is having the input data, is having the what are the logic we have written, what is the condition we have kept. Okay, it will write the output in the sense, like, you know, in any format. Again, here it may be in the file, or it may be sending into the screen, or it may be updating into the database, or writing into the inserting into the database, or completely a report generating system. Anything output will be. Agreed?
Yes. Yeah.
Agreed what I'm saying? Yeah. Now again, now the requirement, we have got the requirement, we have designed it, we have developed it, we have run it. Okay, now the application is done. Suppose if we are dealing with one program, now we have done coding, we have done written, we have written JSL, we have executed the program, and our output is ready. So this is happening in single job. If we collect like that sequence of jobs, then how we will need to run it?
So the output of one job 1 will be the input for the job 2.
How
so
can you say that, you know, the
upstream jobs? No. So
Agreed.
if we are designing system, if there are a number of jobs, then there are some upstream jobs and there are some downstream jobs, right? So we have to check the full life cycle, or what exactly we want.
Yeah, likewise, how we have discussed so far with single program and single job, likewise we have developed 100 programs and 100 jobs. Now we want to execute it. So how we will execute, how we can know, like, you know, this job should come first execute, this job should last execute, this job should depend on that job, and that job should depend on this job should not depend on anything, and this job should receive the data from that job. Yeah, how we will
Yeah, so
define
this
that?
depends. So this thing depends on the business, right? Let's say if we are taking the example of banking system, until and unless we won't open the account of a customer, how we will give the interest rate to the customer, right? So interest rate is the downstream job, correct? And let's say account opening job is the first one.
Okay.
So that depends on the business.
Yeah, very good information. I just want you to correlate this account and the interest. How you will relate? Suppose in the mainframe application, how you will open the account? How you, through what you will need to open the account? Suppose a guy is sitting in the system in the back.
Yeah, so Kix screen. Through Kix screen or front end screen, we can open the account based on the information provided by the customer.
Exactly. Then that information.
So let's say in a full day, 10 accounts was opened by a front end screen, and they will process through some job XYZ in the night cycle or batch cycle. Okay. Yeah, once it was saved in the database through that batch job on the first day. Okay, then comes the withdrawal or the deposit process. So once the person will deposit the money into the account, let's say a job 2 will trigger based on the information present in the database. So likewise, the full cycle will go on.
Okay, so this is how based on this information, I would say, like, you know, application has been developed. Okay, this application, if you are pointing as banking, then it is a banking application. If I point it to insurance, then it's an insurance application. If I point it to healthcare, then it is an healthcare application. If I point it to insurance, here two things comes. Okay, vehicle insurance, PNC, they will say PNC insurance and life insurance. Okay, if I term it to telecom domain, then that becomes a telecom application. That's it. It's a simple application we have built. Now we have a hell lot of sequence of jobs to run. Okay, so we will be analyzing these jobs, which job requires what. Okay, and we will be scheduling. Okay, how we will schedule? Again, are we going with tools, or we are putting one person to execute one after the other?
Control M or
CS7, Control M, CS7.
OPC.
And OPC.
OPC. Yeah.
OPC is a different. OPC is a different one.
OPC is a
CS7
different
and
one.
Control M.
Okay. You know only CS7 and Control 7, Control M and CS7.
Control M. Yeah.
Control
Yeah.
M
One
and
more
CS7.
Zeek scheduler.
Okay.
Yes.
TWS. IBM provided TWS. So there are many schedulers. Okay, it depends upon the company what they want to use based on the cost factor. Okay, and the effective use of the scheduler as well. Okay, if they feel TWS is very easy to learn and very easy to maintain and very easy to understand, then they will use TWS. And if people are
Some companies
very much
have.
comfortable with CA7, they will use CA7. And some companies are very much comfortable and they feel it very easy with Control M, then they will go with the Control M. Okay, so this sequence of jobs, we need this sequence of jobs to execute one after the other. For this execution, we are dependent on the tools like CA7, Control M, and TWS. Or then there are many tools like we can't say why, because I worked on Control M, I worked on TWS, I worked on CA7. Okay, I would say CS7 is more effective one and it's a very user friendly one as per my experience. Okay. Yeah. So now our session is about production process control. Now we have built an application, we have created jobs now, and we have scheduled these jobs, and wherein this production control comes into the picture. Now these jobs are fine, business approved, application is developed. Now I want to run my business. To run this business, what I need these jobs to execute so that my system is ready for the people. People can access it. People can put the data, or people can put the amount, whatever it is, whatever the application I developed, and it's for user purpose, right? That's fine. I'm very much happy. My system is done. Now I need to run the business. So for running this business, I have developed a production environment wherein my jobs will run. Application is ready. I will get the data. My business goes on and on and on and on. Okay. Now, what happens, like, if something is happening in between this execution of the process? That is what our session is all about today. Production process. They will call it production process system, production process production support, or simply production support, PS, or support. People are very lazy to call it as production support. They call it as support. Some people are very much interested to say the full name, process production support, and some people are say, like, production support process.
Batch cycle support. Yeah.
Some people will say batch cycle support. Exactly. That is what the session is all about. Now, what happens in the production support? Now, everything is fine. All jobs ran. We got 0, maxi as 0. Now, process is running. Now, do we require anyone to see whether these are running properly or not? Or it does not require anyone?
Yeah, it requires when the job fails.
Yes, it requires definitely people to monitor it. Okay. Why it requires people?
To restart the cycle or the abandoned job.
In the sense, like, if job is abandoned, we will restart it, or what?
So
No,
we have to
assign the
remove the restart from the abandoned step.
Basically, how it works is
to maintain the code and to produce monthly, weekly reports.
That is different one. Here my question is completely, yeah, that's what my question is. Very basic one. Very basic one. My question is.
Shall I answer it?
Sure.
Okay. See, basically, there is something called as SLA, service level agreement. So when you deploy or implement something, you will agree with the business saying that if there is any issue with that, business as usual, right? What people call it as business as usual. So if there's any issue with the business which is not running properly, then you have to address that issue at particular instant. During that instance, let's say 1 day, 2 days, 4 hours, 6 hours, like that. You will agree with that time with the business when you deploy the code. So within that only you have to fix your problem. So that's the reason you need a people to monitor if there is any issues going on.
Yes, I agree with all your answers, but before to that, I want to say a simple statement. That statement is like, why we require people is like, we need someone to monitor our jobs, whether these jobs are running, applications ready or not. If I say, like, my application is done, I don't require anything, then I don't know what is happening. If some issue is happening in between, my system does not run. It will stuck like that. So definitely we require people who has to work in the backend, who needs to monitor the system 24/7. Okay, and they should run this business for years and years. That's the reason we require this production process, and this is a very requirement, a very important requirement, which is in demand everywhere and in every company. Okay, they work for 24/7. Okay, I believe everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. How the production people will works, right? Okay, so suppose for my application there are some thousands of jobs in between, 500 jobs executed and 501 job abandoned. So okay, what I need to do if that 500 job abandoned, what I need to do?
Identify the error, what is
I am
causing
the
it.
person to solve that. I am the person to solve that, or what is my role being into the production support?
To identify the error, like suppose if there is a deadlock error occurring that is causing the data contention, and identify that this particular 501st
So the
job deadlock, find the error,
Okay.
fix.
Before to this question,
so the
I will
first
say yeah. Before to this question, I will say we have three types of people sitting in the production support. Okay. One is giving L1 support, other one is giving L2 support, other three is giving L3 support. Okay. Now the one who sits and monitors for 24/7 is the L1 guy. Okay. So what is the role and responsibilities of this guy?
he has to acknowledge that someone is looking. First thing, the very first thing.
Okay. Suppose if there is a
Accord.
JSL error. So first, if there is a JCL error, can't he address that JCL error, or he wants someone to fix it?
It depends on the company agreement.
Exactly. Yes.
See,
Exactly. That's
production
what.
scheduler person can fix it. Yeah, like if it is an operator, then they may not able to fix the JCL error. But normally the production controller able to fix it.
Yeah.
And,
Earlier to this session we have earlier to this session we have OPS session, right? I am not wrong. Okay.
Yes.
So OPS guy, he only operates. He's no way bother what the job events or whatever it is. Okay, he only instructs the production guy. Okay, something has happened. It's now your duty to take it forward, to acknowledge and take it forward. Okay. Now the guy who monitors in the production support. Okay, so there will be an information on the job. If he can fix it, okay, they will give a pros information. By reading that, if he is able to fix it, he will fix it. If he is not fixing it, then what this guy will do?
He'll escalate the issue to the application support or the L2 person.
That's what I would say. Hot list information. He has to go through the hot list information. So in that hot list information, if he can able to do it, then they will write over there. If this job abandons with this information, please proceed this way. Or if this job abandons with some other information, please call me. Or if this job abandons with some other information, suppose I would say it has been abandoned with the data. Okay, wherein this data is coming from the upstream system. So okay, then what this guy will do is, if job is abandoning with this information, then why are you contacting me? Contact that upstream system guy. So it depends upon the kind of event this job will do. Okay, to read this, to address this, to acknowledge this, we require some guy who is sitting over there. So for that purpose, we require this L1 support guys to sit and to gauge and to monitor 24/7. Okay, soon after the job abandons, okay, what happens?
L1 support will refer the documents if there is any such instruction given in the document. If so, he'll take the action. Else, he'll report it to L2 guy.
Yeah. How you will report?
Usually
They will
called
create a ticket and they will assign to
ticket. Very much important. Ticket incident.
So is now hub where we can actually raise a ticket for respective teams.
Yes. Again, another tool coming into the picture. ServiceNow. Someone said ServiceNow. Okay. Ticketing tool. That is called ticketing tool. ServiceNow, SDM, and the many companies. ServiceNow is the latest one where all companies are accepting and they are using. Soon after the job events, okay, an incident will will be getting, okay, stating on the information of the job. So this incident, the incident which comes automatically generates that incident keeps the key part saying that, you know, this job has been abandoned at this point of time, and giving this kind of error. So that incident is given to the person who is concerned about that job. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Again you go, we need to, again, you know, the job which we develop, okay, we will term the job is an complex job, priority job. We will give the priorities of the job. It's a very high complex job, okay, which needs to be resolved within 1 hour, okay, or within 2 hours, or within 3 hours, or within 24 hours, okay. So we will prioritize that job, how important this job is about. Suppose, like, you know, very first job is very important for me, wherein it will give the data to the complete downstream systems. If that job ends, definitely the complete downstream systems are affected, right? So I will make this job as criticality 1, so that it should be addressed immediately. Agreed? Or you are having
Yes.
any questions or any concerns?
No.
Okay. Yeah. The business guys or the application owner has to give the importance to the job, and he needs to prioritize whether this is a critical job, highly critical job, or complex job, or medium complex job, or medium job, or simple job which can be addressed in the next business day, okay, or whatever it is, right? So it is his responsibility, the application owner's responsibility, to prioritize the job, and he needs to give the importance. Okay, this is how the hot list information will be updated, right? Contact person soon after the job happens, what the job contains, and if this happens with this information, then whom he needs to contact. If this happens with this information, with whom he needs to contact, whatever it is. And also, whenever a job happens, suppose, like, you know, the downstream systems which are dependent on the job, the support guy who sits over there, he needs to drop an email saying that, you know, this job has been abandoned. Okay, I have reported to the concerned team. The concerned team is working on it. Okay, I will update you as soon as this job completes, or whatever the status on the job, I will update you. So he needs to sit over there, and for every 15 minutes you need to know the status, and you need to alter the downstream systems. Otherwise, like, you know, if complete system is not up by the business day, then it's a huge impact to the business. Agreed? Or you want
Yes,
me to give a better, example?
Yes, I agree.
Or if you want to give me a better example, I will give a better example. Suppose, like, you know, a banking system, one job, very basic job, which is the heart of the banking system, the job has been abandoned. Now what happens? So if no one address that job, okay, so the downstream system which is dependent on that data from the above stream, okay, now is been dead and dumb, right? And the business day happened next morning. Now I am very in need of money. Okay, I went to the ATM system, and I could see, like, you know, server down. Okay, and I am a credit card holder. I went to the shopping, and I could see, like, you know, I am unable to swipe my card over there, saying that, you know, server down. Okay, then what happens to the business? Definitely it's a loss to the business, right? Business will lose in millions, in billions, I would say. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
From
Yes.
if we say India, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, okay, from Gujarat to Assam, whatever it is, okay, completely system is down, and many people are like, it's a festival week, and many people went for shopping, and system is down. Okay, so if we take on an average, and each guy wants to shop 1,000 rupees, and the population of country with population of that size, so do you agree whether it's a business loss or not, if system is not ready by the time? Please answer me. Is that a loss to the business or not?
Yes. And also one more thing, the customers can go away from that bank to another bank, saying that.
That's it. It's a business. First of all, it's a business loss. Second of all, it's a customer loss. Okay. Then thirdly, it's a bad reputation to the organization or
Image
bank,
loss.
yeah, company. And fourthly, like, it's a bad situation to the company who is handling the project as well. Definitely client will say that, what you have done, you have made a loss to our business. Why I need to continue with you? Okay, let's cancel the agreement. I will start with the other company. That's it. Simple. This is how the criticality of the production support is. We require people who are, suppose like, a guy working in the night time and, he feels dozing and he sleeps for a while and system is down. Definitely, like, who will take the blame? I can't say like, I got sleep. I am tired very much. I slept for a while. I don't know. I didn't expect this system will down at that time. So this is what we need, people who are somewhat agile while working in the production support, and he should be sharp, very sharp. At least if we not resolve the event, he needs to inform the other guy so that like he can take care, or their system can be dependent, or they will agree. So it's not important. Every job needs to be addressed very that importantly. There will be an SLA, service level agreement. Okay, some job will be addressed in 2 hours. Some job will be addressed in 4 hours, or some job will be not a problem. We can do it next day. Depends. This is how the production process happens, right? Agreed? Or any questions for me?
No, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
I have a question about tools that are being used for monitoring at L1 level. What tools are used and how monitoring can be automated? What tools are used for automating this monitoring? This is a bit irrelevant with the process, but if you can throw some light on this. Thank you.
You want to automate the process?
I want to know how L1 level support can be automated, or what tools are used to automate the L1 level support, where we can just eliminate the eyes on monitor scenario. As you said, the person can sleep, or what kind of tools are used currently in the industry to automate such support is a question.
We do. Yes, to address your question, like we don't have any tool to automate that production process support. Email alert is the only one, or the incident which comes in whenever soon after the job happens. Only these are the two things which alerts the business. That's it. So that the business will take care. Apart from that, I didn't see anything, any automation happening in these applications.
Mainframe environments.
Sorry, can you tell me how automatically incident will create when there is a job failure until unless you include that step in the JCL?
Yes, unless or until you need to include in the JCL, okay, or the scheduler, like its scheduler throws an event, okay, that event needs to be given into the ServiceNow or the ticketing. Soon after, if something pops up with that event, then automatically the incident gets generated and an email alert is sent to the respective concerned teams.
Okay, just one more question. When we say that incident is created, I think it's a step included in JCL, and then the email is sent out, and that email, when it is sent out to a group, it ends up in creating an incident in ServiceNow.
After actually how it happens is like soon after the incident is created, based on that incident, automatically that mail gets generated. That is an extra step added in the JCL, or to the that is an extra application giving into the whatever the scheduling tool you use. They will keep it.
But
To answer your question, I would say like there are some 5 applications team. Okay, first application I would say like PMS. So their jobs will come like this: PMS, EPMS, or JPMS, or TPMS, like that. Okay. After that, there is a claims team. So their jobs will come as claims, CC, ECC, DCC, TCC. Suppose like there is a reporting system, I would say like their jobs will start with TRS, reporting system, right? RS, reporting system. So ERS, DRS. So if the terminology is like that, then it becomes very easy for that team to give the mail whenever an incident arises. If this job abandons, suppose I would say like RS3 job has been abandoned. Okay, RS3, so incident generates.
Okay, RS3 means, which means RS team has to address that job. Again, it depends how the company use the terminologies of the job and to which team it has to address. It is their internal part. Yeah.
I think that like it's not possible to integrate the directly scheduler with the service now. Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. I think it's possible. So basically, in scheduler, if I take example of a OPC, so there if you schedule the job, so it will ask you for the maximum return code of that job. So suppose job is running from OPC, and if suppose you have given maximum return code is 04 is acceptable, and suppose it got 08, so their service now will automatically creates the ticket, and suppose I am the owner of the job, or I am the person who is handling that job. So in service now there are facilities for the job group. You can go and put the notification on for those jobs. You will get automatically on the mobile message as well, and even on the email as well. So
yes.
Basically, what you are saying is when you develop a job and deploy it, you have to put some information in service now. Without that, it can't happen,
yeah,
right?
yeah, right,
Yes.
right. So when because the incident will be created by service now, so you have to do that.
Unless or until if you mention that, they won't be doing that. The OPC guy or the it depends. In some industries only OPC will handle. Some industries, we need this production control guys to address. Or in some companies only the application developers they will do both developing as well as the production support. It depends upon the company to company. But that is the way out. That is the way out, so that someone should be altered whenever a job events. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how we need to acknowledge the incident, and you need to take that incident forward and make the system ready to the next business day, or the whatever the happened. Okay, it has to go to the concerned team if it is not resolved, so that we will bypass. We will see that criticality of that job. If required, we will bypass that step, or we will resolve, or we will cancel that job from the scheduling, and we will ask we will do some impact analysis, and we will say that okay, let's stop here, or okay, let's bypass this job from the execution, or okay, let's pass this step and run the subsequent steps and continue the system, continue the application to run and be ready for the next business day. Right? Or having any questions, please let me know.
Yes, I've got a question. It's so if you could help me understand, what is the difference between production support team and DevOps team?
The production support team is common, whatever the application you take, whether it's a mainframe application or some other application or some other, whatever it is, cloud, Java, whatever you term it. Okay, process would be same. Okay, whatever the application runs, whatever the technology they use, and whatever the process they had, process would be same. Okay. DevOps, I'm not sure what exactly happens in the DevOps. I understood operation development operations happen within the single team, wherein the team they themselves are responsible from end-to-end execution of the application. Okay, wherein if a system is having if the business is having very huge application, okay, they will segregate the systems into different technologies, and they will operate people so that their system should not be affected in any sort. So mainly that happens in the banking and insurance.
Can I answer this one?
Yes.
DevOps.
Sure.
Actually, DevOps is not a team. Actually, that is a methodology we use in any organization. Ultimately, what happens? Development team is having the OT environment, that is operation acceptance testing. So before moving the code in the production, we should have the proper testing. So what is happening in Agile? Mostly we are doing testing, but that is the development reason. So operation teams will provide the system where exactly the same system it should be like live. Okay, so we should be having the testing. So DevOps means development plus operation. So after DevOps, we we need to generate the code to deploy in the production. And production team is something like if basically we are having some aband in the production region, so that team will resolve it, or that is actually L1, L2, L3, L4 support. So L1, L2, L3 is a production support, and L4 is nothing but a development. So ultimately, what is happening after DevOps, we move to the production. So DevOps is not a team. There is a two team, a development team and operation team. They combine together, work in a DevOps methodology. And operation team works with development team. So if you move beyond to the out of the agile, so it's an advanced methodology of the agile. So that is the DevOps. And production support team is something which directly deal with the production events. So there is no connection between DevOps and the production team. So production support team is different, and development team is different. Operation team is different. So the role is very much different.
Yes,
So
it's only a
Abhishek, could you
I would say it's
one more
only a
time,
method.
could you explain about operations team? What exactly was that?
Operation team is something, suppose I am having one program. I'm just giving one example. Suppose it's working fine with the 100 records. Okay. So my program is working fine, but suppose I am having millions of billions of records. Okay. And I want to use the same program with this kind of scenario. So I'm not having that scenario in development region. So what operation team does, operation team provides this scenario to you to use your particular code. So that is the operation team which makes the resources available for your program. So that is the testing, operational acceptance testing, you can say. Okay. So that is what the operation team. So operation team provides the resources for your program. So in integration testing, what happens? Suppose your program is working fine, but it should not impact the other modules. Okay. So for integration testing, operation team is required, and UAT testing also. Some organization needs operation reason to execute your code. So that is the operation team, which works for different development team for providing the resources. So that is what the operation team.
Yeah.
My question is,
To your statement, I would say, like, my team, like, we only develop. Okay, we only move, we only take the data, and we only say once everything is fine, and after sending it to the business approval using the production data, we will move into the production. Wherein, like, I am the only person who works everywhere. I don't have any other team, and even support also I do. So don't this process is called a methodology?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So operation team is required in very big projects where exactly the portfolio level we decide which kind of operation team is required or not. Okay, so mostly people are having operational acceptance testing. So their OAT reason will be there. Some have, like Barclays definitely have the OAT reason where OAT testing will be required. So some other teams also works with your code. Okay, suppose your code is A and your output will be the input of code B. So code B designed by some other team and code A designed by your team. So all teams will work together, and the reason would be different. So that is what actually the operation team means. So in operation team, suppose I am getting some problem in accessing the database. Okay, so I will just approach to the operation team that your this particular table is not responding well. So they will do some operations in their end, and they will make that table available for your code. So that is the operation team works. Okay, so sometime what is happening, before DevOps, the development team is ready for the code, but operation teams is not ready. So they don't know actually what exactly they need to do. So ultimately, suppose it's, you can consider like an engine. If engine is having so many so many curtains, like it has to pull, but the only problem is the slowest curtain is the ultimate speed of your engine. So that is what actually the problem was. So to move on, this kind of DevOps has been designed. That is that's a bridge between development team and the operation team. So Jenkins is a tool we use. Okay, so this is what actually the operation team does. Ultimately, like some resources like DB2 table or some VSM files, or suppose any region which is not responding. So in that case, operation team who are really expert in doing such kind of it's such kind of things. So they do some puzzling in the table and all, then they make available all these tables for your program and whatever you need. So that is what the operation team. So after DevOps, there is no gap between development team and the operation team. So they know that when the code is going to be ready for the operational test. So they at that time actually they make their things available for your team. So the things are faster in DevOps. And production support is something after moving the code in the production, and if within 3 months if you get any event, it is the problem of the development team. So I think production support will not handle those things because this is the warranty period. Okay, after 3 months, if
SLA
anything
period.
yeah. So this is what is the small things. So I just want to conclude. So that is what operation team and the production support team.
One question I have, in most of the organization, is it like L3 support is always aligned with the DevOps team? Hello?
Yeah, actually, DevOps is not a team. Actually, there are two teams: development team, operation team, and production support team. So L3 support team doesn't know that what is the development, what is the operation team. There's a support model. So in support model, some names will be there. We have to contact. Okay, so L1 support team gives incident to the L2 team. L2 team to where to navigate. So they give to L3 support. If SLA is going to meet like suppose 2 or 3 hours, if they are able to some forward fix. Okay, so that is the initial support. So they give the initial support. If initial support is okay, so they want to make the business as usual as a perfect way. Okay, if BAU is getting impacted, then the L3 support guys will be caught. So ultimately L3 guys needs to make BAU available. After that if suppose if they don't have the root cause, okay, so they move it to problem record goes to the L4 support, that is the development. An operation team is nothing something like they provide environment like a live environment before moving the code in the production. So there are three teams: development team, operation team.
To add on, sorry to interrupt. To add on, like generally I am in production support. So what happens in my team is actually is like IBM supports as an operation team. So whenever we had a failure our end, so we'll just report them to schedule the job, and wherever what changes need to be made in the job, we need to inform them. So operations team will actually take care of the issue, as instructed by our team from production support. So that is how for our team, company, we are working as an operation team. Will support for changing any real-time jobs which is scheduled in CS7 or so. So here is where operations team comes into picture for us. So
Yeah, that is actually sorry to interrupt. You are correct here. Here actually you are giving the job to schedule to operation team, and there are some manager who approves your CR. That is the production support CR. So here operation team does that, and they actually there are two process. First, whatever the event is there, so first it goes to the operation environment. It should run fine, and after that the production environment will take it automatically. So that is what actually I know. That is a standard process. Some organization doesn't have that process, so so maybe the operation team does this thing, but the standard process is first it will go to the again OAT, and after OAT it will go to the production. So that is the testing the testing channel. This is the proper channel of how we support it.
So you mean to say like operations team checks in their environment and then make it happen in production? Is it
That
so?
it should happen because
Okay.
ultimately you are getting a ban because the testing has not been done properly, something like that, right? So operation team see that where exactly the problem is. Okay,
But in
and
our case, I've seen like there are cases like when we actually give them a fix right to make the changes and run in the production. So they don't run in their local, but then directly implement it in production. And again, if the job fails, they report us like there is a
I got it. So that is not actually the operation team. We should
Hello. Did we lose him?
Pretty much long.
Yeah.
It's a pretty much long session. There are many statements coming in. See, it's all about the way our company needs it, the way the client needs it, and the way the system needs it.
Yes, HP.
So
One other question from my side. L1 support, L2 support, and L3 support we have, right? So if it is a routine failure, L1 support will anyways take care. If there is an L2 support, anyways L2 will take care. When will the actual, L3 support comes in? Only when we have a critical issue which L1 and L2 cannot fix,
not
right?
critical issue. Not critical issue, which requires a business need and approval. Then only the L3 the ticket is being moved to the L3 team, wherein they will do more of analysis. They will get it from the. They will
So
give
if
it to the business
say
body.
we are not seeing much tickets coming till L3, so what is the usual work they do? Like if there is no much frequent failures.
They will do on the development, regular development center. Suppose I would say there was a program written in '93 and very recently it got abandoned. So I would say it's been
Mostly
27
they are
years.
SMEs, what I believe.
Yeah, it's been 27 years. The program was running successfully and very recently it got abandoned. So I need to catch the person who has coded that program, or it's me who has to do the analysis and put the fix to that program.
So sorry to interrupt. What? L1, L2, L3, three levels are related to production support only.
Yes, that's what I'm telling. Okay, there was an event happened very recently when I have checked that program has been written in '93. Okay, the person who has written the program is no more. Now it got to me. So what I need to do? So what kind of support I need to
L3
give?
will come into picture.
I will answer it. If suppose if any program events and that programmer is not available, right? It happens like even if he is alive and he is not here, right? What you need to do? So for that there is a operation instructions. So that's the opens. You have to go to the history. What exactly the program does? Okay, it is written there. And if suppose your program abandoned in step number 15, so what to do? If suppose you have some abandoned step number 15, but you have to restart from step number 12. Why? Because there are some temporary files which are being created in step number 12.
No. Don't judge with the answer right now. Why? Because it requires some business approval. I have identified the issue. Okay, to that scenarios it ran, but to this latest scenarios it is not running. So I have identified the issue. Now I need to go to the business. So what kind of support I need to get it here for that? Now the L1, L2, L3. So who has to address this? So whether it has to go to the business team, the development team, or the L3 guy has to do?
No. Here actually the support model is there. Every company should have the support model. You should not go each and every person to address the issue. There is a support model where exactly the channel is there, where to report. So you should have the proper knowledge of support model. Okay, where to approach. So that is really important for the production support. Suppose I am the new guy, I don't know to whom I should approach, and suppose it's a L1 event. Okay, so as the severity is S1. So what to do? So here support model is there. So in mainframe support model can be there, and Excel sheet also there. So in Visio also there. So every organization has a different kind of support model. So we should have the support.
Abhishek, is this with just the error fixing and the support thing, or in the project that I'm working in, they have weekly or monthly releases where they add on new features like real-time system transactions and all. So the support part also comes under the new feature enablement in the current system.
Yes, because I also worked in L3 support. So what happens one time, there is a CVT2 event. Okay, so there's a CVT2. So what exactly?
No, I'm not talking about the abandon. I'm talking about like new feature enablements in the system. So where does that fall? New feature development into a current system that are running.
That is CR. That is change request. That is
So it doesn't
something
L1, L2, L3, or
no.
L4.
That is you are introducing something, right? So for the introducing something, there's a forward fix and backward plan. Okay, these two things are attached to the CR. Okay, so before implementing it, because there are two, three or four things: known, known, unknown, unknown, known. Okay, so known means you know what exactly you are doing and you know what problem can come. So you should have the forward fix and the backward plan already ready, or the CR. And unknown means you don't know that what exactly is going to happen, but you know what problem can occur. Okay, so you should also have the problem for forward fix and the backward plan.
And once that is implemented, once that thing is implemented correctly, it goes into the production support where L1, L2, L3, and L4 comes. If there is
Correct.
any...
Production support means it's L1, L2, L3, L4. L4 is a development. So these teams comes in the picture when your code is running in the live, and if something is there's a production support, right? Production means live. That's it. There are some other support as well, that is like code support as well.
It's a
Where
different
also
thing. It's a different thing. Sorry to
Okay,
interrupt you.
okay.
It's a different, like some companies will have this development in separate L1, L2, L3, L4 teams separate and all.
yeah,
But
correct.
in my case, I will do development for the regular projects and I will do L3 support for the such kind of issues. It depends how the company and how the client wants it. But all in all, what we want to know here is how the process is all about, what needs to be done.
So now,
how the fixes
the DevOps, now the DevOps should be something like this, right? The enablement is also working, and those who are enabling new features, they can also support. That is DevOps.
Yeah.
Or
Correct. So I'm just categorizing it. Okay, suppose these L1, L2, L3, and L4 support, it doesn't belong to only production. Okay, if production support is there, so that is ITIL, like ITIL certification is there. Okay, so it is infrastructure library, right? So what exactly we are doing? So we should have the development, operation, or something like in this one also, what to say, production. Okay, so in production, so these processes are applicable. And suppose if you are implementing this process for the operation, so operations also there. Some big companies are having these supports for different levels. Okay, the operation level also they are having. Operation level means before moving in the production, they are also having some support. So after getting all these fixes, okay, so they are getting very less incident in this one production. Okay, so for the small companies, production support is all the ultimate one. Okay, so they are having L1, L2, L3, L4 support in production itself. That's it. Otherwise, company should have two production support, two support. One is for operation, second is for production. So am I clear?
Yes, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It all depends upon the company, the client, and the work we do. That's it.
Correct.
I would say.
Totally depends on the client, because sometimes what happens is, like in Agile, okay, you are giving the demo or directly to the client. Okay, if some problem comes, okay, so that is a demo only, right? So here also we are just directly dealing with the development team, so there is no production support required. Okay, so all operation team is required here. Okay, if suppose it's a demo, so in demo, have you heard about SAFe, Scale Agile Framework? In SALE, what is happening, Agile is not a small thing. Suppose there are multiple Agile teams, they work together. Okay, so they work together, so ultimately operation team play a very major role here. So if anything happens, okay, so operation team needs to take care, because if my product is working fine, the another person is also fine, but the third person is giving the issue, right? So ultimately our demo should not be spoiled because of such kind of things. Okay, so operation teams take care of this kind of things. So this is the big projects. Okay, so SAFe comes in the picture. So ultimately this depends on the organization to organization, but yes, as a layman we can say that this process involved in operation and in the production. The production is a very high level. Okay, every company should not have any risk in this one production. Okay, so L1, L2, L3, and L4, these teams should be very much expert. So these are the SME as well sometimes. Okay, they are actually dealing with the production support. Operation team, so they can be the learner, but actually we should have the same process. So this is what actually the actual scenario. I hope I clear something, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much we covered pretty much, like, we have discussed, we have elaborated, more of like, we are in the process what we are exactly doing in the production support. So I presume, like, we have done with our session. Like, if needed, like, I will ask Venkat to conduct one more, so that we can have ample of questions and answers to be addressed, and we can elaborate our discussion further. Okay. More, like, what I want to say is that is a process which we do, which we believe to be done. Okay, and which needs in the system. Okay, with this, like, I am done for the day. If we require, like, we will ask Venkat to conduct one more session, so that we can have discussions further.